AccuWeather.com meteorologist, community director Jesse Farrell. I want to do a little post analysis here of the Super Tuesday tornado outbreak in 3D with Google Earth. And what I wanted to do was basically give you some geographic perspective as to where these fatalities occurred from these horrible storms. Take a look at some radar images and give you some access to radar loops and look at some photos and video. Now, I apologize if I seem a little out of it here, but this is the first time I've tried to connect all this technology together, so we'll see how it goes. Let's see if we can flip over to Google Earth here and take a look. This is actually every severe weather report that happened during the Super Tuesday tornado outbreak. So there's a lot of information on here. Obviously the red T's are tornadoes, the blue W's are wind, and the green H's are hail. So if we zoom in here and turn ourselves around geographically, you can pretty much see the track of the storm as it moved from starting out with some hail reports and wind here in eastern Texas, then moving up through Louisiana and Arkansas. That's when you started to see those tornado reports come into play. And notice that a lot of these tornado reports seem like, well, there's, you're looking at them, you're thinking, well, there's one after another in a line, and that's actually because it was the same tornado. Some of these tornadoes had very long tracks, unusually long tracks, large tornadoes. And then as we got up into the Ohio Valley and some of the severe weather potential ran itself out, then we switched to mostly wind reports. But I want to concentrate on the tornadoes today, and in order not to make this video too long, let's go ahead and turn off these severe weather reports. Now I want to concentrate on the fatality reports. This is not meant to be a comprehensive review, but these are the fatality reports that the National Weather Service initially reported from extreme damage from tornadoes. Let's take a look first at Atkins, Arkansas. Tornado here happened around 1702 time frame, and unfortunately 3 people were killed by this tornado. If you take a look at the radar from AccuWeather.com Radar Plus, a very clear hook echo on the radar here indicating that winds were circling into it, and if you double check the storm relative velocity, you can see the dark blue and green next to dark red, which indicates rotation. If you click on these links here in Google Earth, you can take a look at the actual, you can download the actual radar animations. It may require you to right click Save Target As if you're using Internet Explorer. Also one photo from Atkins, Arkansas. If I can switch over to my blog here, you can see this photo from the Associated Press showing just extreme damage, cars tossed around, flipped over, extreme home and tree damage obviously with this storm. Let's take a look and move a little bit to the east. This one story that got a lot of coverage was the Hickory Ridge Mall at Memphis, Tennessee took on some serious damage from the tornado. I don't believe that there were any fatalities there. I hope I'm not speaking incorrectly on that. But again, if you visit my blog, and we can switch over here to a different entry, and you can take a look at some of these photos, some of these pictures of the mall. Obviously pretty extreme damage. This is the Sears store here, and then here's an air conditioning unit from the roof came down and hit a car. So pretty extreme damage there at the mall. And I believe here this is going to be an aerial. If I can flip back over to that video, this is aerial video from the mall in Tennessee, and thank goodness no one was injured by this, because obviously there's some clear heavy damage here with actually the roof peeled away, and I'm afraid nothing left of one of the walls. Just incredible damage here, folks, from these storms at the Hickory Ridge Mall. Let me just skip ahead a little bit and see if there's anything else of interest. No, that's pretty much the end of the video. So I will pause that there because we will be back here in a second. And let's go back to Google Earth, and we can actually zoom into the Memphis Mall in Google Earth, and you can actually see the alright, so now here you can actually see the building, and this looks like the building that was in the video, and I'm not sure. It could be that, or it could be this guy across the street. Anybody who knows the mall well, go ahead and drop me an email and I'll put a note on the blog. So that was the tornado that hit the Memphis Mall. And if we zoom out here a little bit and see what else we have to take a look at. Next stop, I believe, we're going chronologically by the way. Next stop is Jackson, Tennessee. This was the Union University, and I'm not going to zoom in too far here because there's not great coverage here, not great satellite coverage. Union University, this is where, by some miracle, people were not injured, or excuse me, not killed by the storm, caused extensive damage to the university. We'll click there and look at the video in a second. Just a quick radar shot here. The report, obviously, tornado, people trapped in the buildings at the university. Again, fairly clear hook echo. These were beautiful storms on the radar. Fairly easy to see that, again, red next to blue indicating rotation. And here, if you look at the attributes from Radar Plus, clearly a tornadic attribute as well as rotation and extreme hail in this storm. So pretty impressive looking on the radar, not at all surprised to see that sort of damage. Let's see, let's switch over and see if we can get to that video from the university. You bear with me here. Again, very impressive looking video of massive damage to the dorms. I heard at some point they were at least 30% completely destroyed. So just absolutely incredible damage video here. Cars overturned, flipped, thrown into dorm rooms. Just terrible, terrible damage that you would expect with a fairly large and strong tornado as we had that night. And again, you know, a high risk was put out by the Storm Prediction Center from the National Weather Service the day before this thing happened, the night before this happened. So people were as aware as they could have been. A high risk in February is extremely unusual. So if you go to my blog, you can see some more of the incredible video there from the university. Now, switching back over to Google Earth, let's move on to the next stop, Denmark, Tennessee. Now, I do have a video of this, although Denmark was not on the National Weather Service list. It's a little bit to the southwest of Union University here in western Tennessee. And if we can switch over and take a look at the footage from that storm, some aerials here, quite incredible. Video moving way too fast for some reason. You get the idea. Home's completely destroyed. Nothing left but the foundations. Next stop on our tour of tornado damage here. Let's move northeastward into Nashville, Tennessee area. Actually, north of that in Macon County and Castellian Springs is a couple of places that we want to look at. I want to show you that we are in a kind of a hilly area here. You know, people say tornadoes don't happen in the mountains, but by golly, in a lot of parts of Tennessee, it's not hard for tornadoes to occur in the hills. So just because you live in the mountains or hills does not guarantee you're not going to get tornadoes. Let's take a look here at what we have. Number one, Castellian Springs, Tennessee area. I believe this is Sumner County, Tennessee. We'll take a look at the radar. Another huge hook echo here. Very clear rotation into the storm. 2 people were killed 5 miles southwest of Hartsville. Now this is interesting. If you look at the radar velocity out of Nashville, Tennessee, you do not see a clear signature here. You do see a small rotational signature, and this is an example of how hard it can be to identify tornadoes on radars and issue those warnings, as the National Weather Service has done. Now, there's 2 different videos on this on my blog. I'm not going to go into them here due to lack of time, but just trust me when I say there's some more incredible tornado damage there. A little bit further to the northeast in southern Kentucky and northern Tennessee, this was Scottsville, Tennessee. This was an interesting storm. If you look at the radar loop, if you download the loop, this looks like it's in a line of storms, but actually if you look closely, the supercell storm just continues to move on to the northeast here as the line moves eastward and kind of overtakes it. And again, a velocity signature, pretty nice looking on this storm. So again, not surprised at all to see the tornado damage and unfortunately fatalities in this case. Both of these little icons here are unfortunately reporting 4 fatalities. And then we also have some video of this on my blog as well, and as you would expect, just incredible damage. Mobile homes completely destroyed, houses off their foundation, just nothing left, unfortunately, but a pile of rubble. And this is typical of what you see with strong tornadoes. We just don't typically see them this time of year, and I'm sure you've heard plenty about how incredible the tornado damage has been, considering that it's only early February. I believe that's about all I had to show you. I wanted to just kind of give you a geographical perspective on where these deadly storms had been this week, and I appreciate you sticking with me here and watching the video. And you can download Google Earth at earth.google.com, and you can open up this file for yourself. And if you're visiting from the Google Earth community forums, please download the KML file from my blog, as it contains additional important information that didn't make it into the early release on the forums. For AccuWeather.com, I am Meteorologist Community Director Jesse Farrell, thanking you once again for staying with me for this post-storm analysis.